South Africans are at it again. Yes, those same Twitter warriors who can cancel you before your morning tea if you dare critique anything happening in their beloved rainbow nation. The same people who will gang up in hashtags and drag you into a digital war zone for simply observing that maybe, just maybe, things aren't exactly paradise in Mzansi. They are the defenders of pride and sovereignty until, of course, it's time to meddle in Zimbabwean politics.
Viva Zimbabwe, viva! Viva! Viva Zimbabwe, viva! Viva! Viva to our land, viva! Viva! Viva to our minerals, viva! Viva! Forward, ZANU-PF, forward! Forward! Forward, ZANU-PF, forward! Forward! Forward, ZANU-PF, forward! Forward! We're here in our home. Zimbabwe is our home. And we're saying that the fight must continue. We're told that there's a protest here. We never saw any protest. Yes, it was driven by Western media. South Africa and Zimbabwe were going to work together for beneficiation program of making sure that we take back our land to benefit our people. Yes. Our minerals must benefit our people. Yes. If that is poverty we are ready to go through. Yes. We are not prepared to suffer at the expense of countries that have no minerals and have no land. Yes. Now, those that want to benefit from us, they must be ready to benefit from secondary products. Yes. Our raw materials must remain here to create employment for the youth. Yes. And create employment for everyone in Africa. Yes. Africa can't be the face of poverty. Yes. Yes. When we're the richest continent in the world and the blessed continent of the world. Yes. Now, we're blessed as Africa. We are the continent of God, those who believe in God. Yes. Because God can't give minerals and everything to people that don't like. Yes. And those that they say they are liked by God, they have nothing. Yes. Now we have everything because we are the ones of God. Yes. Now we're saying that don't disperse, don't fall into the trap of the enemy. Let's work very hard together to make sure that we take our people out of all the problems they're faced with, utilizing the gift.
Yes, folks. While Zimbabweans were still licking their wounds after the much-hyped M31 stay-away, trying to summon every ounce of courage left to face yet another year under the tyrannical disaster named Emmerson Mnangagwa, here comes a fresh insult, flown in, ironed, in ANC uniforms, and escorted right to the lair of the crocodile himself, wearing the symbol of oppression in Zimbabwe, the Mnangagwa scarf. The ANC Youth League decided to take a field trip, not to show solidarity with a suffering people, not to join hands in Pan-African resistance, not to whisper even a timid word about democratic reforms. No, they came all the way to Harare to do what they apparently do best when it comes to Zimbabwe: embarrass themselves on international soil and throw egg after rotten egg on the face of the oppressed. They came not with empathy, but with praise, not to listen to the cries of a nation in economic hospice care, but to shake hands, smile for the cameras, and wait for it, endorse ZANU-PF. The very same ZANU-PF that has become a global case study on how to destroy a country without even trying that hard. Oh, the irony. These are the same South Africans who shout from the rooftops that Zimbabweans should go back to their country. They mourn endlessly about how Zimbabweans are clogging their clinics, taking their jobs, renting their RDPs, and somehow bringing down their economy one tomato at a time. Every few weeks, a new video goes viral or some irate South African shouting at a Zimbabwean nurse, taxi driver, or restaurant work to forsake back to Harare. You want proof? Here it is.
And those who are inside, They are lagging. I was supposed to be there. They said I will be there tomorrow before 7:30. They won't be entering the premises. So if you are a non-South African, just leave the queue and go home. You won't be getting any assistance in the clinic.
They are working, they must go to private clinics. Ne?
Yes.
They are working, they took your jobs, they must go to private clinics.
I want to repeat.
But now, instead of celebrating Zimbabweans trying to fix their country and remove the men who turned it into a dystopian joke, they sent their youth league to come and pose for pictures with the same despot. This is not Pan-Africanism, comrades. This is pan-insult. Let's rewind the tape, shall we? Remember when Patrick Chinamasa, in all his bold cluelessness, told the ANC to pack their bags and go.
Sovereign states. Zimbabwe is not a province of South Africa. That we agreed very clearly. South Africa, in the context of international relations, South Africa is not a big brother to Zimbabwe. It has no overseer role to play on Zimbabwe or in the region. It has no mediatory role to play in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, or in any other country. And not being a province of South Africa, it follows that there is no interventionist approach to the way that South Africa would relate to us. That became quite clear in our discussions. And therefore, we put paid to any interventionist approach in the way we relate to each other. I also wanted to highlight that ANC and ZANU-PF were able to clearly identify the existential threats which are ranged against the ANC and ZANU-PF as revolutionary movements, and not just against those two, but against the rest of liberation movements in our region. We are aware of the external and internal forces working day and night to undermine the liberation movements. Also agreed, and a point I want to highlight, is that we agreed that we should strengthen integration of our region, of our economies. And of course, we realize, that success in this endeavor will take time.
That was the last time they tried to mediate Zimbabwean politics. He didn't mince his words. Zimbabwe is not province number 10 of South Africa. He bugged and the ANC scurried back home like wet puppies, tails tugged, pride punctured. That should have been the end of the charade. But South Africa has always had a strange codependent relationship with the ZANU-PF. Thabo Mbeki, with the most impressive poker face in SADC history, looked at a Zimbabwe burning in 2008 and boldly declared, "There is no crisis in Zimbabwe." And I can tell you, comrades, 2008 was the lowest that Zimbabweans could go. But no, Mbeki said there was no crisis. Bread lines were longer than sermon queues. Soldiers were beating people like drums at a political rally. And inflation had numbers that only NASA could understand. But Mbeki saw no crisis. None. Zero. Just a gentle misunderstanding, maybe. Fast forward to today. The same script is being recycled. South Africa's ruling party, currently dealing with its own collapsing credibility, takes a break from dodging corruption scandals and failing service delivery to come give moral support to ZANU-PF. You can't make this up. And let's talk timing. This visit came just after the M31 stay away. That moment when Zimbabweans, especially the youth, finally looked like they were ready to break the chains. There was tension. There was fire in the air. There was hope that maybe, just maybe, people were done being spectators in their own oppression. The message was clear. ZANU-PF must go. Enter the ANC Youth League. Stage left, singing praises of the government, or singing praises of the very government people are trying to remove. Not only does this slap every activist in the face, it spits on the graves of every person who has died under this regime. It mocks every mother who can't buy bread, every graduate who sells airtime at an intersection, every nurse who ran to Limpopo because hospitals here ran out of paracetamol. It's not just tone deaf, it's morally bankrupt. And for what? What does the ANC gain from propping up ZANU-PF? A few handshake deals? Mutual denialism? A chance to say, hey, at least we are not as bad as Zimbabwe. It's the political equivalent of a drowning man giving swimming lessons. Let's be honest, the ANC itself is no stranger to scandals and misrule. Load shedding, Palapala, Marikana, take your pick. Yet Zimbabweans flock to South Africa because with all those wrongs in ANC, South Africa is still a paradise to Zimbabweans. Zimbabwe is a hell. And what does ANC do? They go to Zimbabwe to try and put more briquettes on the hellfire in Zimbabwe. So it's no surprise they look at ZANU-PF and see a kindred spirit. But instead of acknowledging shared failures and learning from each other's disasters, they come to Zimbabwe to celebrate the very rot we are trying to cure. And don't even get us started on how this damages regional solidarity. True Pan-Africanism is about standing with the people, not the despots. It's about liberation, not lodging alliances with those who liberated themselves from the people. The ANC Youth League could have visited Zimbabwean civil society groups. They could have met with youth leaders, victims of political violence, even former war veterans who have turned against ZANU-PF. But no, they went to the feeding trough, not the streets. They stood not with the people, but with their oppressors. Zimbabweans are not angry because South Africans visited. They are angry because they came to support the enemy. While millions suffer under Mnangagwa's iron fist, while the economy bleeds out, while hope itself becomes a rare commodity, these so-called comrades come across the Limpopo, show up to throw a political party at the funeral of our democracy. So to the ANC Youth League, thank you for reminding us who our real enemies are and who are just tourists in struggle cosplay. Next time you feel the urge to support Zimbabwe, maybe support our right to free elections, to clean water, to working hospitals, and leaders who don't run the country like a mafia club. Until then, we kindly request, stay in your lane. Stop telling us to go home when you prop up a government that is keeping us away from home.
Mugabe went to grave as a changed president by his own comrades in Zimbabwe, Mnangagwa. He brought some reforms in Zimbabwe, but they did not want those reforms because they want a man called Chamisa. Is he Chamsa or Chamisa? They want him there to be the leader, the new leader of Zimbabwe, of a new Zimbabwe. In the meantime, Zimbabwe as a country has moved to South Africa. From Gugulethu to Khayelitsha, there's Zimbabwe there. The whole country, Zimbabwe, has moved to South Africa. And then we say to the Americans and we say to the British, give the Zimbabweans what they deserve. Because you agreed in Lancaster that you will give them 40 billion pounds for land reform and redistribution program.
And to our viewers, if you are tired of regional hypocrisy, sellout politicians, and endless gaslighting from the so-called brothers, hit that subscribe button. Stay loud, stay sharp, and never stop questioning the lies. Because if we don't tell the truth, who will? Zimwaves TV, speaking truth in surround. Subscribe now or risk being ANC'd into silence.